Okay, England versus Chile in the Rugby World Cup. First time these two nations have met. Now, obviously, England are expected to win and win comfortably. They've done that. It was 71-0 in the end. But for the first 20 minutes, England couldn't settle. Chile made things difficult for England. England looked a bit unsettled, and you could argue a lot of changes made from the previous two games. Owen Farrell back in the side, Marcus Smith coming into the side at fullback from the bench. So he had two starting fly halves on the field. Now, Marcus Smith hasn't really been tested at fullback defensively, at least today. So it'd be interesting to see how he would perform in a defensive role at fullback. But in attack, he looked quite good. So that's an interesting experiment Borthwick has gone with today. George Ford ultimately came off the bench to make it three fly halves on the field, with Owen Farrell moving to inside centre, Marcus Smith staying at fullback. But as I say, the first 20 minutes, not a lot of control by England. So while they're maintaining a lot of the possession and making Chile do a lot of tackling, they weren't getting over the line. They had opportunities to take shots at goal. They decided to go with their set piece, so they weren't getting the scoreboard ticking over. And this is a side that have been lacking try scoring ability of late. Tries have been hard to come by. They scored a lot of tries today, which was expected against a team like Chile. But Chile had their moments. They did have their moments. But when Arundel scores his first try, the floodgates open. Arundel scored in 20 minutes. I mean, Arundel scored 5 tries today. I think he has to start the next game. He is a try-scoring threat that England, up to this point, have lacked. I think they have to go with Arundel going forward. Dan, from hooker, he gets his try on 24 minutes. Now, Farrell did miss some conversions today from the right-hand side, so goal kicking has left points on the field. So the scoreline could have been a bigger scoreline. Farrell had a mixed day off the kicking tee. Arundel scores his second try in 30 minutes. That's from a quick tap penalty. Again, both his first two tries, he is holding his width. And the rest of the team are doing the hard graft. Now, Rod gets his try in 35 minutes. And that's the bonus point try. Marcus Smith gets his first try on the stroke of half time. Now, this is where I think Marcus Smith in attack from fullback, this is a good experiment. This is a good experiment to see how he does. The problem is with this experiment, he wasn't really tested defensively today in a defensive capacity. So against better opposition, it'll be interesting to see if Marcus Smith would play more minutes at fullback. But I think we might find a role where you can get Marcus Smith on the field in this World Cup rather than just as a bench player. But he did score 2 tries today. Now, it was a 20-minute blitz at the end of the first half by England. The first 20 minutes, Chile were in the game and they were testing England and giving England a few headaches. Second half, Datus, his second yellow card of the tournament. It's an illegal tackle, sort of trying to bring down the maul as well. It's a yellow. He had a similar one in open play against Japan. This one was in a maul situation where he's just gone for the legs and tried to take the legs out. Now, that's a cause of concern for Chile, is their yellow card count and their discipline. But we are seeing a lot of yellow cards. It doesn't matter if you're a Tier 1, Tier 2 or Tier 3 nation. We are seeing a lot of yellow cards at this tournament, I think more than 4 years ago. And we can debate, are there too many yellows in the game? I'll be over-officiating the game. But that's beside the point. From the resulting penalty, there's another line out. Dan, the hooker, scores his second try. And then Arundel starts having some fun. He gets his hat-trick in 48 minutes. 60 minutes, he gets his fourth try. That's cheeky chip and chase, and that fourth try is brilliant. And then he gets his fifth and final try on 69 minutes. Now, there were periods in this second half with the changes, so the bench coming on and changes, that England again lost a bit of flow and a bit of concentration, and the penalty count starts rising. Now, against a better side, that could prove problematic. Now, Marcus Smith scores his second try on 77 minutes, and Jack Willis rounds out the scoring on 80 minutes. But in the second half, it was noticeable that, again, very similar to against Japan and Argentina. Well, Argentina was a backs-to-the-wall job. And Japan, they were the better of two average sides. Scrappy game that was. Okay, yeah, it was fun to see England attack the ball with pace. I think it was noticeable. Um, and they did experiment obviously with Marcus Smith. I think Marcus Smith at fullback is an interesting option if you are one of those people who has a bit of a coaching hat on, or a bit of one of those fans who looks outside the box in. I think it is an interesting option to discuss. The problem is they lost a bit of cohesion. And then having three fly halves on the field, do you really need three fly halves on the field? So the question mark over Farrell, Ford, or Smith, who starts at 10, and do you start with maybe Smith or Ford alongside Farrell at inside centre, is going to persist. There are those who are saying, is it time to move on from Owen Farrell with this setup and go with Ford and Smith? Although Farrell does give you that option from inside centre, but the game lost a bit of direction. A little bit of direction at a point, because you've got the gap between Arundel's hat-trick try and then his fourth try, and then there's another gap between his fourth and fifth try, and you can see the scoring slowing down. Much like the first 20 minutes in the first half, they lost that bit of intensity and that bit of direction. So that's an interesting point, is keeping up the concentration, the intensity, the direction, the game management. Yeah, they're going to win the game. But then the penalty count. Still too high. A lot of repeat infringements, a lot of silly infringements. And while they were good against Japan, and Japan were good as well with keeping their penalty counts low in that game, this game, England on as a winning team, and a dominant winning team, that penalty count is far too high. And that has been a recurring theme with England for many years now, going back all the way back to the Ashton and then Martin Johnston days. We're going back, 16 years. The last 16 or so years, England's penalty count consistently is one of the highest in the Six Nations. It is consistently one of the highest in the autumn internationals, and it is consistently pretty high at World Cups as well. They do give away a lot of silly penalties in games they're winning, in games they're losing, in tight, close games. The penalty count remains a concern. They should not be giving away the amount of penalties they are, considering how dominant they were on the scoreboard and how dominant they were in possession, controlling and dictating the play. On the Chile side of things, look, they're still trying. They still want to play their style, which is a running from deep style. They obviously have a very good sevens program. It's a difficult one. They've lost a couple of key players through injury already. Obviously, they've also got to manage their squad for all their pool games. They've got to play Argentina next. That's going to be interesting. They're obviously developing the game at a professional level. Bearing in mind, some of these guys, while they're full-time professionals on paper, they also have full-time jobs as well. So a lot of these Chilean players have sacrificed a lot to be here. And professionalism is in its infancy domestically in Chile. There are a few Chilean players who play in Major League Rugby, and some that do play, obviously, in Europe. So they are a scattered squad, so to speak. But 13 of their starting players play for one club in Santiago, which I think helps with a bit of continuity. But they've got players scattered all over North America and Europe. So it's very, very hard also. They haven't really had a lot of games together since in this World Cup cycle, apart from the qualifying campaign. And of course, the demise or the suspension of the Americas Rugby Championship, which is the North and South American version, sort of like the Six Nations, hasn't helped with that lack of game time. But that competition helped develop this side for this last World Cup cycle. So World Rugby needs to seriously look at the international calendar for teams like Uruguay, Portugal, Chile. Although Portugal play in the European Rugby Championship, which is the level below the Six Nations, so they get a bit more regular game time. But again, some of these emerging nations, like Uruguays and Chiles, for example, they need to, and Namibia, they need to seriously look at the international calendar and getting these teams more game time and more development time, because you can see the effort was there. You can see that the grassroots have definitely grown in South American rugby outside Argentina with Uruguay and Chile in the last 5, 6, 7 years. And in part that was to do with the Americas Rugby Championship. That needs to be reinstated. If World Rugby can do anything positive, is bring that competition back, because the US and the Canadians, since that competition was suspended, have failed to make the World Cup. So it's had a detrimental impact on two of the nations that have failed to qualify. And so we need to look at the international calendar. England, I think it's a morale boosting win. They showed they can score tries. Arundel's had a brilliant game. I think he should definitely retain his spot on the right wing. The Marcus Smith experiment and Ford and Farrell experiment with 3 fly halves on the field, and Marcus Smith starting at fullback. We'll see, against Samoa, if there's a few more tinkerings with that spine. But it was good to see Marcus Smith get a full 80 minutes. Farrell, there's still going to be that debate whether he should still be the starting fly half, whether he should be captain, and how long he's got left in the England setup. He might go around for another 4 years. He might do a Johnny Sexton and go until his late 30s. But there is a debate around Owen Farrell and is George Ford and Marcus Smith a better combination in attack. But all in all, no major injuries, no silly sin binnings, but the penalty count's still too high. But they get a 71-0 win. But as I say, World Rugby seriously needs to sort out the international calendar for those Tier 2 and Tier 3 nations, because some of the competitions that they did used to play in have been suspended and mothballed because of the pandemic and haven't been brought back in. And I think it's having a detrimental impact in Chile's case of a lack of game time together. But there we go. Thank you very much for watching. Place your thoughts in the comments section below, and I will have some more content for you very, very soon. And of course, we've got the Ireland South Africa game to look forward to in just over an hour's time as I'm recording this video. So that's going to be possibly the game of the pool stage and one of the games of the World Cup. It's probably going to have the highest TV viewership globally. It's been eagerly anticipated since the warm-up games before the World Cup. This was an anticipated clash, and it's the world's best team right now on rankings in Ireland, and Six Nations Grand Slam winners against South Africa, the defending World Cup champions, who are the second best team in the world according to the world rankings, who obviously hammered New Zealand in the warm-up games and have looked pretty imperious so far. So that's the game of the weekend. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I'll have some more content for you very, very soon.